and creatures galore. Alex Zahara's played heroes and more. Voice of animes, faces on screens. Sci-fi to drama, everything in between. Now he's back on a deadly new line. Final destination, it's his time to shine. So grab your seat, no need to go far. It's the real story from Alex Zahara.
We can make a longer version if you want it. That is our AI song for you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was awesome. That was singularly the funniest and most interesting and cool and eclectic intro I've ever had in my life. Thank you.
Josh does all that work. He does it for every show, and he's been killing it. And our AI tool has been killing it too. But thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the compliments.
Yeah. And just so you know, yes, there's a black dog sitting here with me. It was my T-Rex Dachshund shirt. This is Cooper. Say hello, Cooper. Hello. He's a year and 5 months, and he sticks to me like glue a lot of the time.
Let's go, Coop.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
I love dog buddies.
And we hear it at TRS for the T-shirt. So
yeah, I feel like Dr. Evil sort of, or like Blofeld, but in reverse.
I always go with Inspector Gadget's Dr. Claw.
That's right.
It's a doctor professor.
Gadget. That's right.
Anyway, sorry. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. We have with us amazing and long-lived, very deep, talented actor Alex Zahara. He's done everything. You're probably here because you've seen him in one of what you have about 150 IMDb credits so far, or more at minimum. You've done a little bit of everything. And that makes the interview hard and easy because we could just stick to one thing or dive in, and we're not like a neat show. I love Stargate. I love Babylon 5, all the things, but we're not going to just stick about that. We're obviously going to talk about Final Destination. It's a huge, one of the biggest movie this week. Easy.
Well, it was the #1 movie in the world for like a week or so, and then it got, I think, bumped out by like Mission Impossible. Duh, that was going to happen.
Happens,
but
yeah.
It's still keeping its numbers up there. It's done like 200 and I think almost $60 million in business in like 3-4 weeks.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. If you would have told me as a little kid, apparently I did sock puppet plays behind the couch for other kids in the neighborhood. There you go. But if you'd have told me then that I'd be like in the #1 movie in the world and go to like, what used to be like, for me, it was Grauman's Chinese, the Chinese theater for the premiere, I'd be like, yo, you're nuts. Like, forget it.
Yeah, right.
And just keep ahead a few decades, and here we are.
Yeah, you just had to put a little bit of work into it, and there you are. Who knew it would be that easy?
Three
so
and a bit decades.
Speaking of your childhood, you directed a stage version of MASH in high school. And I just want to, I'm fascinated by the beginnings of actors and the beginnings of people with interesting jobs and lives. Do you have any special memories of that experience, or something that like you knew that this is what you wanted to continue to do, acting and being in theater and arts?
Yeah, I do. I just have to release the hound. Just a moment. Okay, go see Mom. Yep. He's like, the interview started. You're not paying proper attention to me, so I gotta go. You know what? Special memories about that. It was crazy. It was like our drama teacher wasn't the nicest lady, let's put it that way, and she didn't want to have anything to do with us. And your kids are all on your own. So me and my best friend Dennis Mark, he was my assistant director. We rallied the troops, and we just it was all student driven. She gave us a key to the drama room so we could get in and out. I called CFS based Beaver Lodge. Canadian Forces Base Beaver Lodge was like a, you'll remember the distant early warning, yes. The DEW line. Okay, so there was all the geodesic domes out there scanning the skies for the Russians, which probably they should be doing now. Anyway, scanning the skies for the Russians, and I borrowed. They lent me uniforms and cots and beds and all these supplies, and no money, no nothing. Oh, kid, here you go. And everybody loves MASH. And long story short, it was like the old Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland days. Hey, let's put on a show. I got some wood. Let's build a barn. And we just all came together. And my friend Devin Whipple was in it, and Chris Larson, my buddy, played Hawkeye. And anyway, it all came together. We won Best Play at the Regional Drama Festival, and amazing. I won a scholarship at college. Yeah, it was just crazy. It was all good. What I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of did. Yeah. And I loved MASH. Seriously, I loved MASH. Like, I have a MASH T-shirt. My wife.
I've probably seen every episode a minimum of 10 times, minimum, like recently, even like in the past, in my adult life. The movie's amazing. I still love the movie.
Well, the Altman film's incredible. Very
Yes.
different from MASH in a lot of ways because it was far more risque, but also very cutting edge and for its time, and it still holds up.
Let me ask you something. As an actor, you've directed, produced the football scene. That's the only thing I don't like about that movie. Am I wrong? Or am I missing something?
No, but let's face it, America's a bit of a football cult. Okay, we know that, right? Like,
Sure.
you know, come on, a lot of portion of it is. So, but I mean, having it in there, but it was like, I think it brought an element of humor to the film and different, you know, it just brought something to the film that
felt like
tied
a
it
different
together.
film to me, I think. Yeah.
Well, it is. It's almost like a different film, a different movie. It's almost like we went into like Longest Yard territory or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I loved it.
Yeah, it is good, but it is a bit of a non sequitur. I have to admit, you're right.
Yeah, that's it always sticks out, and I could probably even skip that, but you don't because there are still things important to the rest of the story. But
yeah,
I got to ask you something. I like finding out who people are at this age. What was your summer like between high school and college? Who were you, and what were those months like?
Okay, so I was a lifeguard for years. I lifeguarded for like 15 years or so, coached and swam. So the summer after high school, I was promoting. I think it was that summer. Yeah, I was promoting the new pool, the outdoor pool in my hometown of Grand Prairie, Alberta. They revitalized it. They put an acre of grass around it to make it more of a family fun picnicky spot. So I played I was jumping jack splash, and I was going around to all the schools, promoting, come to the pool and come to the new pool at Bear Creek. And I played the song without no copyright being paid, like jumping jack splash. It's a gas. And I would do this whole spiel and talk to all the kids in my little, shorts, t-shirt, and whistle. So that's how I spent my summer, and also lifeguarding. Yeah, there you go.
So out in the sun, making money. Not bad. Not bad at all. Having fun.
Oh, yeah. It was hilarious. Real quick, it was a little girl. I get a really blonde, and so my hair goes super white in the summer when I tan. I get a dark tan, and then all your hair in your body kind of gets bleached because all the chlorine. And I was standing there, my leg hair is almost white, right? And this little girl looks up at me in the shower and, "You must be very old." I said, "What?" I'm like 20, not 20. I'm sort of 17, 18. Like, "What do you mean I'm old?" "Your hair, it's all white." It's true. My leg hair against my tan looked white. So fair enough, little girl. If you're out there, I don't know who you are, but you were hilarious.
But now your hair's all white.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "I was right."
Now it's white for real. Now it's white for real. There you go.
It doesn't, and you got to be careful eating chicken wings now. Like, this can stain. People don't realize that. Like, you have to immediately get it off, or you're gonna look like a goon for about a day. Like, it doesn't. Anyway, we went sideways. I did want to touch on something else that you've taught acting for teens, and I want to know, have any of these students surprised you with a lesson that you learned from them?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's part of being a teacher is also you're a student at the same time, and you're really keeping learning and staying open to stuff. But I've had students just reveal stuff and show stuff about their themselves that you just otherwise wouldn't know, and it's amazing. Like the depth that kids can go to, because a lot of kids don't have a filter, right? So they don't know that, oh, maybe I shouldn't share this about my personal family situation or this or that or whatever. And so stuff comes out in rehearsal and you're like, whoa, okay. All right, great. Or never mind that, but just
use that.
Performances. I use it, but there was a girl came to one of the classes, and it was a Bring a Friend Day. And singularly, one of the best actresses, barring age at all, that I've ever encountered. And I'm like, you got to come to my class. And so I let her come to my class for free until whatever, but singularly, it's just amazing. But see, that's just it. She had such an ease and a confidence about herself, and at such a young age. That's not something a lot of people have. And I said to her, well,
I did.
You're well suited for this. Yeah. Well, who did really,
I still don't really.
Yeah,
I'm
her name was
always
Roxanne.
aware of how awkward I am. Nice.
You know what? I think we all have that sense of awkward radar.
On that same thread, what would we occasionally do shows with youth and people really getting started, and I like to ask this of teachers, especially people who have taught youth and people getting started. what's one of the biggest, and I think I know the answer, what's one of the biggest pieces of advice that you can give to somebody young who's interested in acting, either stage or screen?
Well, I would say don't worry what anybody else says. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or thinks about your performance. And I mean, going to school too, and doing things like, being active and being participatory in things, and putting yourself out there. That's the bravest thing you can do. And honestly, I had a great teacher, grade 7, Mrs. Anderson. I still love her. She said,
call out to Mrs. Anderson.
There you go. The pull down.
You got to call out to teachers. You got to call them out.
All teachers, yeah. But she said there's the pull down theory. So like, if you're not doing, like, if you're doing really well and the kids aren't looking up at you and they're like, oh, and then they try to pull you down to their level. So because they're afraid to try to succeed. Know this, people who put you down, it's just because they're jealous in some respects that you can do that and they can't. So be kind to them and just say, hey, I understand. It's all good. Why don't you join me? If you want to try it, let's do it. And get them in the play, get them in the school play or whatever. But again, don't filter yourself. Don't edit yourself. Don't worry about it, because one day they're all going to come back to you. The kids that laughed at you, bullied you, whatever. They're going to go, oh, I always knew you were going to be a movie star. I always knew you were going to wanted to do what you
Then why did you beat me up for it?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I was a computer nerd before it was cool. So like I had the similar, like, that nerd, he loves computers. And now everybody who ever said that about me is sitting in front of Facebook right now, probably typing something on the computer to some computer friend they've never met who agrees with whatever they just posted. Yeah. So I was just ahead of you guys. That's all. Yeah.
I guess you may have got scammed out of $100,000.
I didn't hear that last part. Sorry. I got a little.
And they're getting scammed out of $100,000.
Yes. Yep. If I listed all your credits, even the ones known, the ones not listed, it would take an extra hour. So we're not going to go into that. People should know who you are. But the thing I want to get, when you've done that many roles and you get called back to do it again, say Red Skull, how hard is it for you to jump back? Do you have notes? Do you have to rewatch footage, or do you just know after a certain time, like, how I do that and what needs to be done again?
Because I'm theatrically trained. I did 7 years of post-secondary education in college and university. Got a degree in acting from UBC. Like, I've got a work method, right? So yeah, when I develop a character, and it's like it's always there, and I can put him on the shelf and just unpackage him again and blow off the dust, and he's fresh and ready to go. So yeah, you do the work, you create your character's backstory, etc., and play with it and explore it. And then you might come back to it in a year. You might come back to it in 5 months. You might come back to it in how many years? I went to play in university, and then like in 94, 95, and then at the turn of the century, 99, we remounted the play because it was all about the apocalypse and the unfolding, Y2K and all that. And so I did the same role. Actually, one male actor played all the male characters in the show. So I replayed about 8 guys in the show, 5 or 8 guys. But I did that 5 years later, and what a difference that made. So over time, it can be very different. But 6 months, a year, not so much. But given time, you change as a person. So the characters change with you.
Mm-hmm. Your own filters are now very different.
Exactly. And speaking of which, this is not beer in my stein. It's tea. It's whiskey. Licorice spice, Earl Grey. Yes, exactly.
I know you're a whiskey fan. I have caught another interview with you. We will talk about whiskey. I'm a bourbon guy.
Okay. I like bourbon too.
So, but I tried Scotch. I really did, and it just didn't work. It's too smoky most of the time. I can enjoy it with somebody who enjoys it, but I will never buy it on my own.
There you go.
We're off topic.
Well, try drinking.
But we'll get.
Hang on, sorry. Try drinking Scotch with Omar Sharif on your first gig in 1997. He bought me a Scotch and we sipped it. Yeah, it was crazy. That's why I got hooked.
I wouldn't complain about a drop of that. You kidding me? The man's amazing. I can't imagine. Now I'm thinking about, like, how were your nerves meeting Omar Sharif for the first time?
I can say it in all honesty, I was a total fanboy. My heart was beating out of my chest, literally just I'd feel it. Like I swear you could see a little percussion on my shirt. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I really was, because for me, Omar Sharif, I'm a huge David Lean fan, like the director David Lean, and I just rewatched Bridge on the River Kwai the other day. It was on Turner Classic, and I recorded it and watched it. Oh, William Holden and Alec Guinness and just everybody in that film. And it's funny, there's one of the soldiers I just caught this time. He was a Canadian. I'm like, what? He's supposed to be Canadian, but anyway. No, but Omar worked with David Lean on Lawrence of Arabia. It was his breakout role. He played the Sheikh, Lawrence's friend, and then he played Dr. Zhivago. I mean, he literally played Dr. Zhivago, and he is Dr. Zhivago. And it's just those two stories alone, they're just so epic and moving, and they're just like, I don't know. I think the acting in both films, I think they're flawless films myself. And so when I met him, I just like, and it lucked out. Get this. So they told us to go into, after meeting Omar, was crazy. My heart was beating and blah, and not even meeting. He just walked in the room and I freaked out. But I just like, keep it together. And then they said to us, well, when you go in this, in the tent, just go pick a spot in the tent. And so everybody's rushing around and whatever. And then the guy, Sven Ole Thorsen, he's a big bodybuilder guy. He's a friend of Schwarzenegger's. He was in The Running Man. He was the bodyguard in The Running Man for Richard, the game show, Family Feud. Richard Dawson. Yeah, Richard Dawson. Anyway, he goes, Alex, you come sit by me and you'll be in the movie. Sounds a little like Schwarzenegger too. So, okay, whatever. I sit down but John McTiernan came in, the director goes, okay, no, I want this guy or whatever. And Alex, I want you over here in the middle, right here. Went, okay, so I sat down, and then they brought in Omar and Antonio, and I literally sat across from Omar Sharif and Antonio just beside him for the entire week of shooting that I was there.
That's exactly. Like, I did the right thing.
John did the right thing because Sven Ole, they did reshoots and they cut his character out of the movie. Yeah, I never would have been in the film otherwise.
Congratulations! And I'm sorry to hear it. It's like one of those.
Yeah, I'm actually in the trailer more than I'm in the movie because they did all these reshoots and edits. Oh, it was so tough. If they ever release the director's cut of 13th Warrior, it would be a classic. It's why Omar said he wanted to do it, because it reminded him of Lawrence of Arabia, one man's story, simply told. But then test audiences, oh well, it's too slow. One more killing, and so they asked
stories anymore. Yeah,
I know. But they told Disney told McTiernan to re-edit it. And he said, no, it's my movie. Now look at all his movies. Hunt for Red October, Die Hard. They all, Predator, they all build in this character development, and the dramatic crisis hits. And the characters so well. You're so invested. You care. Well, they just gutted the film. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's some Vikings and we're killing people. And oh, it's scary. It wasn't as good as it could have been. It's a nice film, good film. But it could have been a classic. So
it has a ton of fans too. I mean, it's somebody's perfect movie, and just because people have different views of it, that's fine. There are plenty of movies that people think. For instance, I know a lot of people that think Citizen Kane's not a good movie. I don't necessarily say it's number one.
They should be flogged. They should be drawn and quartered. I'm just kidding.
I think the biggest thing is they don't know the history of movie up to that point. Like, he was doing stuff with a 500-pound camera that nobody thought of. He was making stuff happen. The special effects on aging are decades beyond what anybody was doing. They're beyond what Doctor Who was doing in previous seasons. This run.
Greg Toland, the cinematographer, he dug a hole. They broke the studio floor, dug a hole, and put the camera in a hole in the floor. Greg created new lenses for the show, and there's the scene where it's raining outside, and there's a nightclub sign, and they go through the sign and through the window with lightning and rain. And look at the goosebumps. Like, seriously, I don't lie. That was never been done before. Citizen Kane, to me, is almost a flawless film. Seriously, I mean, I own it. I watch it every year.
I was afraid to watch it. We did the AFI Top 100. We watched all the movies. I'm like, Citizen Kane. And I did go in with a warm feeling, and I walked out going, I'm so glad I watched 20 years of movie history before that one movie, because I knew what he really did on top of all the other great stuff about it.
Totally.
If you guys haven't seen it, see it. That's all I'm going to say. It is actually that good. I'm not sure it's number one, but I can't think of what would be if it's not. So
it's pretty damn good.
It's an amazing story. I want to get back to the multiple characters, multiple thing. On the opposite side of remembering a character years later, whenever you're going into a show, like say Stargate, you played 8 different characters and then 8 different characters in one episode. How do you, if you would come back, you've done 5 characters on Stargate. Hey, we need you to come back and play a new alien. How do you come back? You're the same setting, some of the same people. How do you invent it or work on a new character? Because a lot of times there's not a lot of background, and they're going to build an entire alien race off of how you handle it sometimes. How do you
well
approach a new character in an old setting?
Well, here's the thing. Like, you got like a great example is my buddy Dion Johnson. He and I did Stargate together for years, and we played two. Look at me, like little action figures. No, we played two Unas characters. Like, they were these lizard men type people. And
I know the
and
Unas.
there you go. Well, he played Warwick in Space Race. This an alien in Space Race, not an Unas, but an alien Space Race. And he couldn't come. They wanted to do a part two. Actually, not Space Race. He played it in oh gosh, his episode was called something else where he got trapped on a alien planet. He was delivering criminals, and the ship crashed. Anyway, they wanted to do a part two where he gets rescued. He couldn't actually do it. So they said to me, they said to me, can you come in and watch the episode, see if you can do what Dion did with the character, and then let's see if it can work. Because if it works, we're going to do an episode with you, but playing Dion's character. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, as long as that's cool with Dion, I guess, and whatever. And so I went in and watched it, and I did my take on it. But it was also new and different because the guy I played it like he'd been lost for 7 years, and he finally got home, and he'd lost his wife and his kids. They'd remarried, and all this stuff. So it was a completely different character. But in terms of coming back to Stargate, like, they're incredible. We're like just a huge family. They actually wrote stuff with Dion and I in mind, and we didn't have to audition. I auditioned.
Oh, that's awesome.
The first 2 episodes I did. Oh gosh, with the fish scale face alien. Spirits. I did Spirits, and then I did 1969 playing the hippie. Those are the only 2 I auditioned for, and the rest. Oh, and that's not true. I came in for Warwick, but they could see me. But they wrote stuff with us in mind. So we, and Dion and I would get together and discuss the characters with the writers and stuff. And like in Foothold, they were supposed to be underwater, like lobster men sort of thing. So they would move very differently in the air, and then they would obviously be very much stronger because underwater there's all the resistance, right? So we talked about all that stuff, and so when it came time to come back and do other characters, it was actually quite easy because the entire crew and cast and everybody's so supportive, and you just go in and let's explore. Well, who are these guys? What are they doing, and why are they here? And so it was actually really, it was like going to theater school again, frankly.
That's real. I wasn't expecting that level of an answer that much. I just thought in the typical TV production, hey, we got a guy, we need an actor, throw him in, and but they're working with you, and that's something I didn't expect to hear. They're like, we like this actor, we want to continue throwing roles at him and challenging him and putting him to work. I loved it.
They were awesome. They were awesome that way. Like, seriously, in that one episode, Beast of Burden, I played 8 characters in that show alone. I played like my main guy, Shy One, which I kind of patterned after Lou Gossett Jr.'s character Fiddler from Roots, like an indentured slave, because that's what we were like. I played a whole bunch of, Unas in the slave market, Unas carrying water, Unas doing this, and the various slave Unases. Then I played a bloodhound Unas hunting my main character down. And then I played a female waitress Unas who serves Michael Shanks, who he and I went to university. He plays, oh gosh, the character's name jumps out of my head. James Spader's character, Daniel Jackson. He plays him, and so I serve him this drink, and he said thank you, and like, you're in character, and like I just looked at him, I gave a little sniff because this guy thanked me. Nobody thanks us. They beat us. They slap us. Whatever. Nobody thanks us. So I did a little sniff, and because there's no actual holes, the whole face went like it flexed, like I was actually sniffing. And Martin Wood, the director, goes, "Oh, beauty, beauty, do that again. Oh yeah, beauty, beauty." So okay, great. And anyway, I kept it in, and it was just hilarious. And I had little lizard bosoms. There you go. The body, they gave us different body because we had like a body suit, right? And arms and whatever else. So they gave me little bosoms and a little dress. And anyway, it was just really cool. And again, in Enemy Mine, I say I've played thousands of Unases because they CGI me and 3 other guys. Yeah, like 1,000 times to make like 30,000 of us or whatever. And then in another show, I played a Super Jaffa warrior, and they made an army of me and my buddy Dan Payne. So I say I played 20,000 characters. There you go.
So if we watched certain episodes of Stargate and we did the drinking game to Alex, we would be dead.
You'd have alcohol poisoning. You're gone. Yeah.
Speaking of dead, how many times have you died on screen? That's a question you always get, and I'm going to go there because the number increased with Final Destination. That's not a spoiler.
No. Well, it's in the trailer, so we can talk about it. We know
Yeah.
we know my character dies.
Yeah.
But this was death number 40. So I would say I make my living dying on TV. Thank you.
Yeah. It's an incredible career you have built on just going face down at some point.
Pretty much.
What do you get somebody as a gift for their 40th death? Is it like wood? Is that like an anniversary? Like, do you get a wooden gift? Sorry.
There you go. Well, I got a gift sort of in a roundabout way. Like good old Uncle Howie, he's wearing his loud Hawaiian shirt when he dies. And I kid you not, the next day I had an audition and it said specifically, Phil is in a loud Hawaiian shirt. And I didn't have it when I said to the costume, do you mind if I borrow this? I did multiples because, and the costume lady was very nice. She said, you can just keep it. It's okay. I was like, well, thank you. Warner Brothers. And, New Line. And I kept it and I auditioned. I didn't get the part, but it's all good. But I wore the same shirt to the sneak preview here and the premiere down in LA, and people loved it. So I wore the shirt I died in.
Speaking of stuff from the sets, you've been on a lot of sets. Do you have any other props or memorabilia that you've got legally and with permission of producers and everybody involved? Say a Zat or from absolutely, or from Babylon 5, the staff.
Give me 10 seconds. Hang on.
Absolutely.
10 seconds. Hang on.
All right, Zaz, you're gonna vamp right now. Tell us a joke.
Okay. All right. You ready for this one? It's good. Yeah. This is a thinker. All right.
All right. Do it. Surprise us.
Ready?
Hey, this is a great time to remind you. If you have a question, put it in chat. We were getting deep.
You son of a gun.
I thought I was saving you. If you have questions, put them in chat. We will get them.
I was so
my goodness.
What? This is a real metal Viking helmet from the 13th Warrior.
Shut up.
You go to parties with that? That's great.
No, it's sat on my shelf for about 20, 30 years. There you go. But I literally, when I went for the costume fitting, I was the first guy to get fitted, and the armorer was there going, hey, listen, can I try this on you to see if it's working and whatever? You look like you got a sort of average size head or whatever. And I said, oh, good, I'm average. Great. So anyway, I come over and it's still got the original little foamy rubber and foam inside.
Amazing.
And yeah. And so at the end of the production, I got to keep it.
I think
that's beautiful.
Josh and I did a zombie movie together 30 years ago, and all we got was ringworm. Like, that is amazing.
No, but that's the best prop. It's the best prop I've ever got.
I am a headgear. I'm a Babylon 5 fan. I'm unashamedly a Babylon 5 fan. I love the show. You were in was going to be a spinoff. It was a movie that working on a series, perhaps. You played a Membari, and I was curious. I'm always curious. The headgear, the headpiece for the costume. Is that a soft foam rubber or is that hard? Is it a difficult piece to wear?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny. A couple of things real quick. So it was a movie / backdoor pilot, and Sci-Fi Network made the mistake of broadcasting it the same weekend as the New England Patriots playoff football game for the Super Bowl. Dumb move, because the numbers were so low in the Eastern Coast. We need like 1.6 or however many million viewers per city to go to series. Long story short, we outplayed Dune as the highest ranked sci-fi or TV movie or series ever. We had 3.7 million viewers per city in LA, San Diego, etc. But New York, because of the football game, they were like 700,000. So when you add that up, it was too little. But as soon as the game ended, we shot up to like 3 million viewers again. If they'd have picked any other weekend, we would be having a much different conversation right now, because that would have been in the series for 5 years.
And JMS has some rabid fans. They would be there for it. Like at that time, especially. That's
well, here's the thing. Like, you talk about back to the headgear to answer your question. It's like firmer. It's still foamy stuff, but it's much firmer, right? So you start by putting a bald cap on you, and doing the ears and stuff, and the little fake ears down here. But so you're all sort of covered up, and then they apply the harder foam on the backyard. I tell you, it was the easiest of the heavy prosthetics I've done, because and it's the only one you've ever seen my face in, because most of it I'm totally covered, look like a lizard or whatever. Yes, yeah. That's tougher in the sense of, because you can't breathe through. There's no holes. You're breathing through your mouth all day, so you're constantly drinking water. And then, oh geez, you have to go to the bathroom. Well, good luck with your triple claw hands. There's a whole other thing going on there.
One of my favorite actors across genre, from Star Trek to Babylon 5, is Andreas Katsalas. You got to work with him.
I was gonna say, yeah, he was amazing. Like
I
you
have
talk
to
about.
mention him.
Oh yeah, I was about to say I sat next to Andreas Casellas in the makeup chair while we were getting done up for the show. He played Jakar, and like he was so calm and relaxed and mellow, very much like Omar. Omar, like these guys are pros and they got nothing to prove,
Just
and
rolling in,
they
doing
just
their
were
job,
just
going
there.
home.
Oh, just it was like a second skin, I think, putting that suit back on for him. You know what I mean? Like just boom, and and like, and even really jumping back to Omar, very similar, like him and Andreas, like during setups or breaks in the shooting, Omar would be sitting there, like, rehearsing. He had these little instruments, he had these little utensils, Arabic utensils, and we're having dinner, and we're all savages and eating and wiping fingers on dogs. And meanwhile, he's got a little knife and a 3-tine fork, and he's like, doing his little prayer before he eats and stuff like this. Andreas and him are very similar, very chillax energy, very relaxed and super professional, super nice. Yeah.
That is,
Very sad.
if I get the chance, I don't know if he told you this in your time working together. There's a story involving him and Richard Kind sharing an apartment and a cat litter box. Anybody out there who has heard it knows the story, but basically, Richard Kind thought that his cat had taken a very massive dump, and it wasn't his cat.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
there's actually a Star Trek person involved in the story, I believe. I think it was the Star Trek convention.
Wow.
Somebody told the story. Anyway, we have an audience question available. I will try to find it and send it to you. Tina Reynolds asks, what's the most difficult makeup on Stargate? I'm assuming you had to wear.
Yeah. The most difficult one in Stargate was originally the first time we did the UNAS, because it took about 4.5 hours the first time we did it. Because in answer to your other, part of the other question you asked about the Minbari thing, on Stargate, they have a cowl, right? So it's a very firm rubber headpiece, and it comes down to about here, right? And it's fairly firm. And, so you can't really turn your neck a lot. There's not a lot of motion, but you can a bit, right? And then they physically, like literally surgically glue from the nose outward the very thinner makeup to go on your face. They blend it in here, then they paint and do whatever. But like literally, we go to work at 3:30 in the morning, and you have to sit till they're done. And let's face it, if you're working at 3:30 in the morning and I'm just sitting there, what do you think happens? Like I fell asleep. So, and so much as it being tough, it's tough to sit that long. You have to get up and take breaks. It's like being on an airplane. You got to, watch for the blood clots or whatever. You're not going to move around a bit. But that was the hardest part, is just, you have to learn just to chill and just know that it's going to be what it's going to be. So that was the tough part. But also then one time I fell asleep at lunch, and I was sleeping like this, with my head back, because you can't breathe through the nose. So I have to breathe through my mouth. And then I rolled over and closed my mouth. So then I have this panic dream that I'm suffocating, because I was. And suddenly I just sat up and then I was on some grass by some of the buildings, and nobody was around me. And I was like, okay, just chillax. You didn't die. It's all good.
Nobody's hurt. Yeah. We're all good.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Continue your story, please.
Okay, real quick. But the hardest makeup I've ever had to do was Aliens Ate My Homework, and Aliens Stole My Body, where I played this character who was like a snail, basically. And so I had the whole cowl on and no eyes. So literally, if you put your hands like this, that's what I could see. That was it. And then I had these two like things that would come up, animatronic eyes for up here, like, eye stalks with eyes on the end. But imagine going in the cowl, putting the makeup on, and I could see just through the slits of the fingers, sort of like, that's all I could see all day long. And so when I take it off at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's incredible, but I couldn't focus. I couldn't drive home because I couldn't focus. My eyes had been focusing 2 inches in front of me all day long. I couldn't see anything. Everything was just a blur.
They don't warn you about that. You think that would be common? Like, hey, every time I do makeup in front of someone's eyes, they're not driving home.
Yeah, well, I don't know that they really knew about this. And like, even my buddy Dan Payne, like, he had his eyes, but they put these full iris or full contact lenses on, like, that would cover the whole eyeball. And he was screwed up too. He couldn't see at all, like, either. So luckily they, provided us rides home and stuff like that. But yes, that's the more difficult part. Or like when you have to eat, and some suits, like, you can't go to the bathroom other than doing number one. So all you could do all day was drink protein drinks or whatever, but liquids. That was it. So that got a little tough sometimes because you're like, you can smell lunch and it smells so good and you can't have it. You know, oh, look, we brought steak and lobster today. Here's your smoothie.
And suck it down, and not too much because you might have to pee.
Exactly.
Right on. Oh, hey, so all of this work with Stargate, and then just all the franchises you've worked through and on, and from multiple appearances, you've been to a lot of conventions. People know you, they recognize you, they want to talk to you. I'm always curious about like what are some of the most touching fan interactions you've ever had at a convention or just anywhere where a fan has walked up to you and said, "You need to hear this."
I'll tell you the one that affected me the most, and it's absolutely the truth. And I just saw James doing, Scotty from Star Trek, and he had an interview like.
I got to see him at a convention when I was much younger. It was awesome.
Did you? Awesome. So lucky.
Good guy.
Anyways, yeah, he said that there was a young lady who told him like she wouldn't be here except for Star Trek, and that happened to me. This woman came up to me and said, "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Stargate because I was thinking of saying goodbye to the world." And then I crossed paths with Stargate, and it inspired me. And I said, "Well, I'm very glad that you're here, and thank you for sharing that. Can I ask, what was it about Stargate that brought you back to us? So you were still here. We can enjoy each other's company." And she said it was about the humanity of the stories and everybody working together, and it was not a negative like fighting all the time or whatever. And I just said, that's so true. It's about people working together, being the best they can be for humanity. And that really hit home with me because, we think a lot of times, like even today, like you question, what am I doing? Like, I'm not solving rocket science. I'm not curing cancer and not putting people in space. What am I doing? Like, well, and then in the end, you actually are. And that really shocked me. I was like, wow, okay, never mind all the people I saved as a lifeguard or whatever. I'm actually helping people out there that I didn't realize. I just thought it was, because for me, God bless, I've never felt that low in terms of like, wanting to say goodbye to really giving it consideration. And yet this young woman had, so there's that. And then switch to a less heavy sort of thing. I've met some amazing friends there. Lynn Dimio and her husband, Angelo, we were friends for years. Angela unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and her son Steve, we're still friends. We go to dinner, we hang out. We used to babysit each other's dogs, but now all those dogs have passed away. God bless them. So we do that. But and then I actually met a girlfriend of mine at a convention one time, and it was very like not intended or whatever. She was doing a favor for a friend, the Dutchies, these girls, and then I just really thought this person was nice, and I said, like, you're a really good friend to do this, or whatever. We ended up conversing or whatever, and then went out for a coffee date, whatever. So that's just it. Like, we're just fans are people too, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm a fan. Are you kidding? Yeah.
I can sense that you love a lot of the stuff you've worked on. Like, I don't know if you loved it before, but like you're proud of the whole thing, like especially Stargate. You're a fan. I know I could talk about episodes you weren't in and you'd understand. So yeah, the last week with Douglas Vermeer, and he brought up something I never thought about. The actors are storytellers too. It's not just the writer. The actor is telling a story.
Absolutely.
And that kind of stuck with me a little bit. Like, you are out there creating a world as well as the writer and the director and everybody involved. You're telling a story and people connect to that. And I think that's what builds community, which builds goodwill, which unites people and gives them positivity in their lives. So 100%, I get fandom. I mean, football fans do the same thing. They get together as a community and they celebrate the good things and they want the teamwork.
All the tailgate parties.
It doesn't seem as cheesy when it's that instead of Stargate. It's they're wearing the uniforms again. Like, yes, but as a storyteller, go ahead.
Sorry, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I read a interview of yours where you said your favorite author is Richard Bach, and I have a unique question about that. Have you ever flown an airplane?
Yes, I have. A little Cessna. I took one of those go for a flying lesson, first flying lesson thing. An ex of mine bought me this lesson. So I flew a Cessna like 182 or whatever it was in and around the Squamish Whistler area up where they have the Olympics, decade more ago. And I literally got to fly the plane. You know what I mean? And even he let me bring it down and right towards landing. And we were like, I'm like, dude, you should take this. He goes, no, you're still good. I'm like, no, you should take this. Like, like we're gonna land, and I got like, I don't know, a few hundred feet off the ground, not even 200 feet. And he goes, okay, I'll take it now. I was like, wow. I said, no, you didn't. See, I wanted to be a pilot as a kid, but I've got red-green color blindness a little bit, and so I would never have passed the test. I guess they have like lenses now that can help you or whatever, but you don't want me flying your plane and not knowing which way right or left is because of the color. So I was really interested in planes, books, and I fell into reading this book, Illusions, the Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. And it's Richard Bach, and it's about a guy who's flying a plane and going barnstorming and giving rides, and he meets another guy who does the same thing, but the other guy never has to clean his windshield. There's no bugs. He never has to gas up, and it's like he meets a messiah of sorts. Anyway, it's very fascinating. If you ever get a chance to read the book, check it out. And all his books are amazing.
Yeah, and I think Zaz pointed out something interesting about the Richard Bach, and you guys, I wanted to jump in with it if he still remembers where we were going before you got on. Do you remember?
I think it was. Go ahead, Zaz.
No, Josh. No, I'd prefer you to go.
I thought it was. So you were in the movie Horns, which was credited as written to Joe Hill, which is Stephen King's son's pen name, I believe.
Exactly.
And your favorite author is Richard Bach, and Richard Bachman is Stephen King's pen name.
By the way,
odd coincidence.
It's amazing. Wow. And let's just not gloss over that, because Horns is like one of my top 5 movies. And because the soundtrack's there, it's a dark comedy. I wouldn't even put it, because so emotionally there. And you're the doctor, right? Like you just. I don't want to spoil too many of the jokes, because part of it is. And again, I can't stress enough, if you haven't seen this movie, go see it immediately. Like, just stop watching this now, because it's such a unique movie. It's insane how unique this movie is. And again, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but Daniel Radcliffe plays somebody who goes through a tragedy with his girlfriend he's madly in love with. You feel the chemistry with her, like you feel it. Yeah. Amazing soundtrack, and he gets these horns that make people tell the truth. That's all in the trailer. Now your scene is just priceless. So
the director says that's his favorite scene in the movie, and I'm not, he said that to me several times, Alexander Aja. But the thing about that is, the horns release the things, the horns, for me, I took it like they release your inhibitions. They release 100%. Any social norms you may have just float away, And what's a little weird and disturbing is what happens later in the film. That he comes to me looking to get his horns removed, and I end up you end up trying to remove them, and then as we gas him and start sawing off the horns, he goes into like a 20-minute flashback. When he comes back, the nurse and I are making out, making love on my chair and whatever. But what's really awkward in this thing about movies, she was a friend of mine.
Oh no,
that makes it very awkward. Very awkward. So, but everybody always asks, "Or sex scenes are there's nothing sexy about it." No, not for this guy. At least I was like, okay. I had a glove on, and I'm like, okay, great. Yes, massaging. I'm doing that. Shut up.
I don't want to mean this.
You guys are at the catering table afterwards, like not making eye contact. Anyway, totally. I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah, it's so awkward, because come on, when you get physical intimacy like that, you have to have a bond for that sort of thing to happen. And when suddenly you show up and in a way, I'm glad it was Kendra, a friend of mine, Kendra, but I'm kind of glad that it was, because it had been a complete stranger. That might have just been completely wow, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know. But real quick segue, I've also worked for Stephen King. When I did Kingdom Hospital. And he wrote that miniseries, and I played Saul, this cop, and it was partially based on him, that one of the characters, and because he was hit by a van jogging in his local rural area, almost died, and this is based partially on his experience and whatnot. Anyhow, he bought the van that almost killed him, and it's sat on his front lawn. Yeah, for the last 30, 40 years. But weirdly enough, I worked for him, meet him, and then I worked for his son years later. And it's just weird. Talk about a bookending of things. And then weirdness, I was in my cousin came to town, and he's a real gamer guy, plays Warhammer and all this stuff. And nothing against it. I just don't know it very well. And I dropped him off at this big mall to go check stuff out. And then I came to pick him up, and he wasn't quite ready. So I'm wandering around, and there's Joe Hill. I go, "Hey, Joe," and he didn't recognize me at first. He goes, "It's Alex." Holy crap, man! And so it was the first time ever that someone had took a selfie of me and put me on Facebook.
Nice.
So there you go. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. Hey, we do want to get into, how far are we into this? We're 45 minutes in, and we still have to talk about why you're here. We're here to talk about one of the biggest movies, I would say Horns, is because I'm like Zaz there. It's one of my favorite movies. But Final Destination after 13 years. Oh, go ahead. Tell me a Dan Radcliffe story.
Daniel Radcliffe, super amazing guy, awesome, no ego, one of the best actors I've ever worked in my life, best people I've ever met. In the first 2 minutes, he goes, I used to get it a lot. He goes, has anyone ever told you how much you look like Kenneth Branagh? And I'm like, yeah, you're the first today or whatever. I used to get it all the time. He actually took my stuff and he sent my stuff to Kenneth Branagh because we looked so much alike in his mind that he said, you guys could play brothers in a movie. I'm like, well, there you go. So Daniel, awesome guy, awesome dude.
I saw shortly before After Horns, I saw Swiss Army Man, and I knew that he was the kind of guy that I would want to follow. Every decision he's been making he could do anything, and he chose to do Swiss Army Man. That's a good guy to me right there. Just that decision, you can read a lot into a person by a decision like that. And then Horns, he wanted to do good movies.
Oh, completely.
That's amazing. I love it. Good to hear. We want to talk about Final Destination, Bloodlines.
Right.
How did you get involved? Let's start there. You got questions about Final Destination, Bloodlines, get them in. Let's try not to make them spoiler. We will get them on screen if they're not too spoilery. How did you get involved?
Well, okay, like anything, auditions come out, the breakdowns come out, and the character description, and audition, great, cool. Now I don't know at that point whether Adam or Zach asked for me to audition or not. I don't think so. I think I just auditioned, but they really like my work. I've known Zach more for years. We don't buddies and hang out, but I knew him like socially. Just he dated a friend of mine, anyway. 20 years ago, he was in my apartment for like an evening, right? So that was it. And then he did On the Lot, etc. Hadn't seen much of him, but knew his work. And we were supposed to work together on Mech X4 or something. Not another film. Forgive me. It was another film. I can't remember. But anyway, Patton Oswalt played the character originally, and then he ended up playing it in the movie. They were going to hire me, and then they said they went with him again. And it doesn't matter. But Zach said, you're a really great actor, Alex. I think, and he stayed in my mind, and I stayed in his mind. When this came up, I auditioned. I got a call back, and they said, "It was great. Do me a favor, can you play?" Because they weren't in session. There's nobody there. It's not live. So, and we didn't do a Zoom session. So they said, "Tape it again and show us very different takes of the character." I thought, okay. Well, I know that not a lot of people have a lot of time, so okay, fine. But I'm going to show them multiple takes of the same scene, completely different. So I did 6 takes of the scene where my sister and I discuss our lives, where she's headed, where I'm headed, the family. So I gave them 6 very, very, very different versions, and all the producers and all the directors watched it all, and they loved it. And they were like, wow, this guy can act. So great. Okay. They booked me, and then the strike happened. So we were supposed to film, and then the strike happened. It was delayed. And a lot of times when that stuff happens, like films go away, parts go away, they go overseas, or they just disappear. Nope. End of the strike. I got the call. You're still in it. Whoa, are you kidding me? Actually, I got a call that I was shortlisted. I didn't think I got it. I was shortlisted, and then the strike happened. I'm like, oh no, come on. But then I got a call after the strike that, yep, you booked it, and we're gonna film. So, and they followed through. And they are such good guys. They actually threw me a bone, as it were, and cast me as a doctor in their new feature they're doing called Freaks Underground, a sequel to Freaks they did in 2018, which kind of put them on the map.
Wait.
And they play a surgeon.
Freaks is getting
so. Sorry?
Freaks is getting a sequel.
Yep. It's got a sequel. They shot it. They're in editing right now. They were editing when we were in LA for the Final Destination premiere.
So on the Final Destination, I know Zaz wants to talk about a certain actor that was on the show, but I just, what are some of your bigger memories of this? I mean, it's a big production. What did you watch? What did it fill you with? What did you get out of it besides, obviously the being in a giant movie like this?
Yeah, well, you know what? To be quite frank, it didn't feel like a giant movie for me. It felt like a family film, honestly. And because for my character, like that's the thing, Adam, we did 3-4 days of rehearsal too for the characters, for the family scenes and all the stuff going on. And we would improv stuff. They'd say, okay, great. Now throw the script away, just improv, do whatever. And they would go away, for lunch or the break, and they'd come back with new pages for us. And the stuff that they mesh together from an improv and from rehearsal and even from just the regular lines, because the Guy and Laurie, the writers, are tremendous, like seriously tremendous. Look at the goosebumps.
That's really
seriously
cool.
That's my meter. When I get goosebumps, I know it's the truth. But they're so creative, so smart, and we did this rehearsal process, but it was all about family. So it didn't feel like a big blockbuster film to me, because my scenes were all about my family. And they said that I'm always trying to keep the family together, build good memories, because myself and my sister Darlene didn't have great childhood growing up because mom was a bit kooky, didn't let us live and didn't let us thrive. So that was the whole thing. Like my Guy was about making fun. Well, look at my backyard. My wife, our backyard. We've got trampoline. We've got tossing beanbag game and whatever the name of that game is, and then giant Jenga and a bar.
Which is not a good name for a game.
I know it's not a good name for a game. I always call it bean toss, a bag toss. That's what we call it.
Thank you.
Bag toss. So or whatever. And then he's got a big barbecue, but it's meant to have a conducive family experience. There's a little swing to sit on. That's the whole thing. His whole thing is he's recovering the family that he never had as a kid, basically. And in one of the earlier versions of the script, they actually had my character, owning like the house. And it was a big like Chuck E. Cheese type thing, maybe fun house for kids with games and food and entertainment. But then they scaled it back just because production wise and whatnot, it was too much to do. And I'm actually glad they'd scaled it back, because it made it far more personal, right?
That's what I was going to say. I'm glad it wasn't too big. It was a very believable. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just amazing. Everybody's incredible in it. Like I hate to say it, sounds cliche these days to say that, but no, I'm serious. We all worked our asses off. Crew, cast, you wouldn't believe the behind the scenes stuff. And Christian, the DOP, and the entire lighting crew, and everybody, what tremendous stuff, because they made it look like a hot summer day when I die. Like, well, I mean, I'm not giving anything away because it's in the trailer. It's why you're going to see the movie. But anyhow, it was foggy, rainy, wet. We couldn't shoot for the first, I don't know how long in the day, because there was fog. So they lit it and made it look as if it was glorious summer, and it was the winter of our discontent for you Shakespeare fans. Like it was April and it felt like November. Yeah. So it was movie magic, seriously.
Movie magic. That's something that, like, I hope that makes the do they still do director commentary on anything, or like?
Yeah, I heard the video rental at home is going to come out, I think June 17th or something, June or July 17th. I can't remember. It's either June or July 17th. And apparently when you rent it, you will get a behind the scenes portion of it.
Great.
With the directors.
I missed, that's the one thing I loved about Blu-ray, DVD, those features where you can actually watch it with the cast and crew. Yeah. Like Goonies is a childhood favorite movie, but watching Goonies with them talking about it is probably a better experience. Like those sort of things, it so well, and then you watch it and you like hear the inner story of Sean Astin going, no, that's not really what it was like there.
Yeah.
And then there's always the other, that's where you get the real info. But you've worked with a lot of legendary people. Obviously we've talked about a couple here, but in this particular movie, there are names, but there's Tony Todd.
Yeah. I'm in the same movie as him. We didn't have any scenes together because I'm dead by that time. But still, like, here's my connection to Tony. So in 1993, 94, somewhere there, Candyman came out, or 95 or whatever.
Terrified me. And I'm a Clive Barker fan.
Oh yeah, me too. But so before that, when Groundhog Day was on the scene, just coming out, we got a call in the Film Society room at UBC. We were at the Film Society, and people like interested in film, and we ran a 450-seat theater. And this guy from Columbia TriStar Pictures called up and said, "Hey, do you guys want to host the West Coast premiere of Groundhog Day?" I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" So we did that, and it was so successful. They said it was perfect. You guys did perfect with it. We got one other one. You want to do Candyman? I'm like, "Yeah." So I hosted the West Coast premiere of Candyman, at least in Canada that I know of, And that was my real intro to Tony Todd. Like I could see, oh yeah, that's who that guy is. But then you look like in all the shows he was in, like just oh yeah, here, oh yeah, there. Like he's like myself in respect, and I don't mean to paint us with the same brush because but character actors, but very good character actors, and our job is to disappear into the film and the role, like not to stand out per se. I've done shows where people are like, oh, it's my favorite show. I've done a play, live action play. And when I played an older man in it, like funny enough, I played a 55, 56-year-old man, my age now, when I was like 30. And one of my lifelong childhood friends saw the play and didn't recognize me.
Congratulations. That's the best compliment, I think.
There you go.
I would
that's
walk away happier than ever.
Totally. Well, Tony and I, in some respects, disappear into our roles, and I not to ally myself with him or whatever, but I think he's incredible. I was, God rest his soul, and the effort he made coming out to do that film and to put a button on his character and the whole series like that, like just it was amazing. I heard he was just an incredible gentleman, and I wish, because we were invited to go to set, but I was working or doing whatever, and I just couldn't make it. And I was like, yeah. But
no, I didn't think you guys shared a scene. I haven't seen it yet. My life. When I saw he was in it, yes, great. That's where he needs to be in this. But then I was like, oh, wow, maybe they got to meet and hang out after set. But yeah, I think it's a fair comparison, because if you dig into Tony Todd, like just he's there and like, wait, he was in that? Like he has a very memorable face, you as well. And you oh yeah, he was there. That's just a really cool thing. So yeah, that's I think it's fair to use the same paintbrush for you both. Like you have been there, you've done it.
Yeah, but he changes his energy. Like with every, see, people get with every character, it's a change of energy. Like back to the Stargate and the different characters. Every character has a different energy, a different walk, a different way of talking, a different way of movement, a different way of expressing themselves. So that's just it. It's not just like there are physical and physiological differences that I literally and other actors feel when portraying characters. So that's why, people like Tony have had such great careers. And like, I think I've done 160 or 70 shows. And yeah, a lot of people go, you were in that? Oh, you were in that? Well, because I disappear into it, and they're like, that's my favorite episode. Well, remember the guy who did it? Yeah, that was me. And they're like, what?
Hey, this isn't a planned question, but have you ever, you go to conventions, you go out to eat, you go to a bar, whatever you're doing, have you ever eavesdropped a conversation where they're talking about something you've done, be it Stargate or anything? You've done a billion things. And I just don't want to go through this and heard them. And you just tell me, actually, that happened because of this. And how would you know?
Right. Yeah. I haven't really had a lot of those per se, but I've had some really lovely comments and compliments where I really care about people, and I'm a bit of a humanitarian in some respects, and I'm a bit of a softie, over my heart on my sleeve. My wife and I watch All Creatures Great and Small. Yes, the thing about a veterinarian in the war during World War II in small town rural England, and I cry like a baby when puppies are born. Come on, So I wear my heart on my sleeve, and so when these people that come from around the world spending their hard-earned money and coming to see the regulars and myself, of course, I totally respect that. I totally get that. And I'm like, you know what? I will talk to people. Like when I sign autographs, I don't just go, here you go, whatever. I go, hey, what's your name? And I shake hands. Tell me something about yourself. Like, where are you from? What do you do? What do you do for fun? What brought you to Stargate? Whatever. And then I go, okay, dear Steve, thanks for keeping us safe in the skies. He's an air traffic controller. Check me out. Let's hope we meet in space one day or whatever. You're signed Alex, your favorite alien, right? Something like that. So I personalize it because, it's, I've had people comment and compliment, and I've had recently just say, you're such a nice man. And, you attended the convention was so nice, because my buddy Dan and we go to these Stargate conventions, but we'll host like a karaoke night. And we've done this little sketch comedy stuff, skit comedy, but we like to have fun, because if you're just going to try to make some bucks off of people signing autographs, you're in the wrong venue. The Stargate people, especially, they like to have fun.
That's one of my least favorite thing about conventions. It's either the extremely long line that costs $50 to get your arms sort of around a celebrity for a photo. I don't know. If I met you, I met you. I don't need a picture with you. I don't. I'm not that guy. I like meeting people and talking to them, but the people that are giving you time and wanting to engage in conversation, you could tell those people My friends who go to conventions all the time only talk about the people that they really connected with. That's why people go. Totally. It's not just for the autograph. I think a lot of times some people just want to sell something on eBay, right? But
no, I refuse to let people just get an autograph. That's BS. Like, you've come too far, spent too much money. You're going to have a piece of me and take me home with you. And that's why I have a Stargate picture with like the Stargate and all my main characters on all the chevrons around it. And sometimes I'll just, I'll go, dear Susan, thanks for taking me and the boys home with you. LOL. Right. Because it's all my characters. But like my buddy Dan and I, we'll sit there. We have photo ops, like photo sessions. Right. And we don't take straight photos unless people demand them. We go, okay, what's going on? And like, literally, we'll grab people and like hoist them on our shoulders. And like, we'll like,
hover hands.
Ripping them apart. No, she's mine. No, he's mine. Whatever. We do silly stuff, hop on our backs and be like animals and, play a tauntaun, like silly stuff, because we're there to have fun, right? I don't know. That's how I look at it. I'm going to enjoy myself.
I wish more people did. 100% did that. So when is do you know when your next convention is? Can we plug that here?
Well, no, I don't.
Because I want to go if it's near me.
You people out there, let your convention people know that I'm available. In all seriousness, it's been so quiet lately because of like the writer strike and actors and this and that. But I may be going to one coming up this summer, but I can't talk about it yet. So not allowed to talk about it. But I'd like to. I love going to conventions. I went to Carbondale, Illinois, a couple years ago when the eclipse was happening, rather. International sign for eclipse. There you go. Anyway, that was amazing. We went and had such a great time there. I met some really cool people. My hometown, I went to one called Grand Con because it was in Grand Prairie. I literally it was me, George Takei, and Lou Ferrigno.
Oh my. Come on. You're about my age, and I know exactly what that means.
Are you kidding me?
I had your lunchbox.
That's right. Lou Ferrigno, though, too. George and Lou, I love them both. Lou is part of the reason why I graduated high school. And I met him years ago at a convention in Dragon Con. Dan and I met there. And I said, sorry, Mr. Ferrigno, I don't mind telling you the story. You heard it a million years ago, and I know you meet people, but I got to graduate partially because of you. And he's like, what do you mean? I did a special report. It was part of things because I dropped some science class or whatever, and I needed extra credit. So I did a weightlifting routine and body and like, physicality, food, whatever. And I blogged everything. But I read his book and Schwarzenegger's book. And I followed those two guys. And I found, Lou is a bit more personal because like he was a child that suffered, hearing loss, etc. Anyway, so I told him, I said, I did all this report, and I was not huge. I was just ripped when I was 17. I was just, because I was a swimmer, I was a runner, I was whatever, and I lifted weights.
People saw you without a shirt every day, all day long. Of course you were going to work out.
Yeah. There you go. But I said, and then I got my extra credit. I needed 6 extra credits, and I got it partially because of you. And he says, that's the best story I've ever heard, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible Lou voice. Yeah, but he was a really cool guy.
That's cool. Hey, we're going to get out of here. I do want to remind people, we have a question here. Super Vandal, there is zero way these two aren't related. Us?
Who? Oh, us guys. I guess so, yeah. If I darken my eyebrows in, Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those don't go. My dad had them when
Mine went platinum a few years ago. This one's sort of white, and these went platinum. There you go. Luckily,
I started graying right here. Like just as blob.
Yes.
Like it didn't go evenly or gracefully. It was a nightmare.
Well, I have a little bit of blonde left. I got a little blonde there, but it was so bad. It reduced at one point. I just had a little blonde like this, and I'm like, oh, great. I'm blonde Hitler. Awesome.
Well, you've played a lot of Germans, and you have a dachshund.
No, it's true. Piece of TV I'm the most proud of is the Outer Limits episode, Tribunal, that I did, where I played the real-life commandant of Auschwitz. And it was Leo Egan's survivor story written by his son, Sam Egan. We're still friends to this day, Sam and I. And I went and visited his father at the Jewish Home for the Aged in Reseda, California. The guy was amazing. He wrote Holocaust poetry till the day he died, I think. Just tremendous people. And I mean, we kept the memory of the Holocaust alive, so we never repeat it. And there's the goosebumps. There we go.
Goosebumps. I get it. My camera's not good enough. But yes, I felt it when you said it. I really did. Hey, thank you, Leslie, for getting the information we just had up on the screen with the Bloodlines release info. Leslie, you're amazing. Thank you. She watches every show.
We are not worthy.
She has changed lives. Amazing person. Thank you. Hey, thanks for putting that up, guys. I have one last question before I tell everybody go see Bloodlines. Get out there, go do it. The reviews are amazing. That Alex, I've seen another interview. You've described it as a perfect movie. There's a lot of good buzz about this. I'm gonna go see it. I was going to anyway, but like now it's on the top of the list, and I'm gonna pay for it this time. That sort of thing. It's so easy to wait for a movie to show up on a streaming service that maybe you're already paying for, and I'll go out and see this in the
cinemas. See it in IMAX. It was shot in IMAX. You got to check it out because it's so beautiful. It's big. The sound's better, and I'll tell you straight up, it's so well crafted. It's so well made. It's so well put together. I mean, I'm not a big scary movie fan. I was mesmerized by that film. I mean, I've seen it 3 times, and it has gotten better. And I've noticed new things every single time. And I'm not saying that because I get no financial benefit by everybody going out to see the thing. I'm just saying you want to have a good movie experience and have a fun time. And if you're not a horror film, don't worry about it. There's humor like crazy. There's tons of family moments. There's like heartbreak and horror.
A little bit. Yeah. But that's what life is. It's great, and then sucks. That's what life is. And then you die. Yeah. I had one final question for you, and I don't usually do this, but I like this question so much. I really want to get to it because, again, you've done so much, and thank you for your time, first off. Let me get there in case we don't get there. I love talking to you. I love learning from you. You're still a teacher. You've taught me so many things in just this hour, so thank you for being here. It means a lot. I appreciate it. And my last question, unless anybody has something for the screen, because of all the work you've done across so many genres and producing and writing, if I were to write you a check, let's say I was a secret billionaire, I wrote you a check and said, film whatever you want as a writer, director, whatever roles you want. Here's a check. What type of movie or what genre, where would you go with it? What have you always wanted to see on screen with you in it or near it?
You know what? Years ago, I started a film, writing a film called The Blue Room. And it was sort of about me and growing up as a kid in like rural Alberta and the experiences of like, and then getting into movies and stuff like that. And The Blue Room was because it's the first memory I have. It was the first time I was separated from my mother that I can remember. She had to go and get a gallbladder operation, and I was left with the relatives, and I stayed in a blue room. And when I was 4 or 5 years old, I described this to my mom, and she's like, "No, you can't have a memory of that." When I was 13, "No, you can't have a memory of that." Totally remember that. So there's that. But in all honesty, I've always wanted to I would do a stage version of It's a Wonderful Life, because it's my favorite film of all time. It really is. I love that movie.
How are you going to do the pool scene?
Well, you know what? They imply it in the back. I saw it years ago, and it's implied. The pool scene is implied somehow. I can't remember how, but anyway. But yeah, so I would do that. And funny enough, I was talking with my buddy Devin the other day and my buddy Callum today about doing that. And he wants to do The Yellow House at Arles, which is about Van Gogh and Gauguin, who lived together and painted together for several months. So I would do one of those two.
Okay. That's a fantastic answer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I want to see a stage version of It's a Wonderful Life. It is one of my favorite movies too.
It's really good.
That's when I do my go-to Jimmy Stewart impersonation. It's throw up a rope and I'll pull the moon down to you, Mary. Like it's because it's stuck in my head. Yeah.
Well, check this out. A longtime friend of mine, Bernard Cuffling, plays the maitre d' in Final Destination. He's great in it. Just had to talk to him. He's almost 80 now, and he's just amazing man. And he played Clarence the Angel in the stage version here in Vancouver.
Okay, I thought you meant like that. That guy's still alive. Cool. Thanks. I'm going to go on my way to find one, the nearest one I can around here. I think my next planned theater event, and I believe it's theater event, is The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere in Vegas.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting.
I'm interested about mashing all that together and how they're going to do whatever they're going to do. So Yeah, it's something unique, and especially even older to see modern takes on it. It's something I know really well. It really does appeal to me. So I hope you get to live one of those. If you do, please come back and tell me, or email me at the very least. I'm fascinated by what you've done and where you're going.
Thanks, buddy. Give me a shout. We'll come back, and I'll wear another Dachshund shirt. There you go.
Please do. I'll get a shirt of my dog is I don't know. She's more like a plesiosaur.
Yeah. What kind of dog is it?
She's a mutt. She's we call her a Zoomy Floofnibble. She's a little. We had the DNA tested because we're stupid, but it's a little bit of everything. She looks mostly like a mix between a husky and a Labrador, with a little bit of goofy thrown in.
She must be very friendly.
And her tongue is twice as long as her mouth. It just sticks out all the time.
That's awesome.
She walked in my house, and we were gonna see if she would mesh with us. And she sat in the floor and looked at me, and her tongue rolled out of her mouth. She's like, "Hi." I'm like, "You're in. You're staying." Awesome. And she never. Yeah, she was ours. She literally the people who wanted us to meet her brought her stuff in right after that. Like they knew I was sold. Like I'm a sucker.
There you go. That's awesome. Buddy.
Hey, thank you so much. We're going to get out of here. We're at our hour and 10 minutes, even more. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We have our pre-recorded episodes that we're going to chop into bits. They're going to be live. We're taking a break next week, and we come back the week after that, I believe, with Howard Scott Warshaw, the man who invented ET for the Atari 2600. And if you know anything about me, you know I liked that game, and you're wrong. It didn't kill Atari. So we're going to interview Scott. He's a psychologist in Silicon Valley. He has a book out. We're going to talk about all that stuff. So tune in next week. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks, Nathaniel.
So yeah, everybody, have a great night.